Welcome to the Sovah Says channel, and training camp season is officially here. We're just about 2 weeks away now from the start of the 2025 season, and it's time to get hyped. And I'm here today to tell you, Bengals fans, it's okay, despite what the internet hate says, it's okay to be excited about your Cincinnati Bengals defense in 2025. If you've been on the internet at all the last 6 months, you've no doubt heard the non-stop chatter this offseason about the contract dramas and the lack of faith in a coherent defense. And while everyone is ready to praise the offense and assume there's going to be another season with the outcomes of wins or losses burdened on their shoulders, I'm here to tell you right now that just a few subtle changes and a switch in philosophy from last year hold the key to a much improved unit in 2025. But before we go forward, let's take a quick look back. A year ago, the Bengals defense had trouble stopping anyone, especially the league's elite, through the first 12 games of the season. The lone exception was a masterclass by the Bengals defense against the Chiefs in Kansas City, Week 2, a game that saw the officials rule a pass interference on 4th down and help bail out the Chiefs, giving them a victory. These struggles led to a 4-8 start before finally finishing the year out at 9-8.
Yeah, I think you look at every game and there's a play to be made in every single phase that we all regret, whether it's a play call, a play, whatever it is, there's all things that we'll reflect back on and that are kind of a little bit of a thorn in your side for this season. But all we can do is improve it moving forward and making sure that a season like this doesn't happen again.
Let's take a look at the Bengals 2024 final defensive stats. Points per game, 25.5. That was good for 25th in the NFL, so not a good ranking. Rush yards per game, 124.8. That was 19th. Pass yards per game, 223.5. That was 21st. And total yards per game, which you get your final defensive ranking, 348.3 yards per game. That fell to 25th in the NFL. So all statistics that were in the bottom half of the NFL last season. Now, the one positive, takeaways. They were a team that got a lot. They finished in the top 10. They had 25 of those takeaways. But now let's take a less obvious, less casual take. The Bengals finished the last 5 games on a defensive tear, and in turn, won out and came within a Chiefs giveaway game from the playoffs, and possibly another run to another AFC Championship game or maybe further. Just how good was Lou Anarumo's group to close things out? Peep these mind-blowing stats. The Bengals over the last 5 games, so during their 5-game win streak to end the season, 18.8 points per game. If that number held true for the entire season, that would have put them at 4th in the NFL. Rush yards per game down to 116.8. Again, if that number through the course of an entire season, that would have been good for 13th. Pass yards would have been good for 3rd. And total yards per game would have been under 300, 298.2. That would have made them the 2nd best defense from a yards per game standpoint in the NFL. They were also on pace for the most turnovers caused with over 39. So the last 5 games of the season, the Bengals were playing out of their minds. Obviously, that's a small sample size and should be taken with various grains of salt. But that type of turnaround doesn't sound like a unit that is actually that far off. So what happened to facilitate the turnaround for a unit that had previously been struggling at a historically bad pace? The simple answer, they got younger. Sam Hubbard, previously struggling to get a pass rush or hold the edge, was lost to a season-ending injury against the Titans, which meant more snaps for former first-rounder Myles Murphy and third-rounder Joseph Osai. After the team's Week 12 bye, veteran safety and longtime Anarumo favorite Von Bell was benched in favor of second-year safety Jordan Battle. That injection of speed and athleticism did wonders for a squad that had previously been struggling to track down ball carriers in the open field and keep up with opposing receivers running wide open. Not to mention losing contain with speedy quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson. But it wasn't all physical. What's the old saying? You don't know what you don't know? Well, by inserting this emergency youth movement, It forced Cincy's defensive coordinator to essentially dumb things down a bit, which allowed players to become more reactive and rely on their physical gifts instead of their indecision paralyzing them in real time. This change in philosophy helped the vets too. Geno Stone, in his first season with the team, was viewed as a bust and basically a Raven in Bengals clothes by fans. But the new style of play allowed Stone to become the guy Cincy fans hoped for, a ball hawk who led the AFC in interceptions just a season before. Over those final 5 games, the Bengals defense was a takeaway machine, which meant one very important thing: extra possessions for their MVP caliber quarterback with short fields for their breakneck offense. But despite their furious finish and the defensive resurgence, the 2024 season came to a close without a playoff appearance. And in the offseason, immediate changes to the defensive coaching staff were made, and defensive stalwarts, some known for their postseason dramatics, moved on. Here's a look at some of the notable departures during this offseason. Obviously, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo was fired after 6 years with the team. Cincinnati kid defensive end Sam Hubbard announced his retirement. Linebacker Jermaine Pratt, who will always remember his interception against the Raiders that gave the Bengals their first playoff win in over 30 years, was released. And secondary veterans Mike Hilton and Von Bell, who had their own playoff memories, are free agents. The Bengals were now staring at the perfect opportunity for a youth movement, a chance to get younger, stronger, faster, and more athletic on defense. Enter new defensive coordinator Al Golden. Last year in South Bend, Golden helped lead the Irish to the national title game as Marcus Freeman's defensive coordinator. All Golden's defense did along the way was finish with a top 5 scoring defense and a top 10 overall ranking, while also leading the nation in takeaways. Cincinnati is hoping a reunion with their former linebackers coach and the savvy he brings from his stint at Notre Dame yield big results.
Ultimately, we want to be really good, at tackling and doing the little things well. So I think, one heartbeat, core fundamentals that bind us, and then ultimately a team that's player driven.
If you were someone like me who found yourself screaming at your TV last year hoping for the Bengals to make a tackle or make a play on defense, this is your moment to be heard. Surely the Bengals' offseason plan was to get more athletic on defense, right? Well, by all accounts, it surely was. Free agency came and went in March with a pair of signings. Despite the overwhelming majority of their focus being latched on to re-signing their dynamic duo at receiver, which they did, they still managed to lock in a veteran linebacker with a nice playoff pedigree and a massive mauler of run games in the middle. Linebacker Oren Burks of the Eagles comes in to add depth to a unit that could use his tackling and pass coverage, while true nose tackle TJ Slayton, formerly of the Packers, is ready to shut down opposing running backs after posting the best run-stop rate in the NFL last season, according to ESPN metrics. Fast forward now 6 weeks to the NFL draft, where the Bengals entered the week with some major holes on both sides of the ball. After 3 days and 6 picks, the Bengals came away with 3 picks on offense and another 3 in the first 4 rounds on defense. Shamar Stewart, the athletic freak from Texas A&M, was taken at 17th overall. Demetrius Knight Jr. from South Carolina went in the 2nd round at pick 49, and after addressing the guard position, the Bengals double-dipped with Clemson's Barrett Carter in the 4th round.
We already had guys currently on the roster that really got us excited, and then you get to add these 3 on defense that we just added, and feel really good about now. Let's go implement the scheme and get guys comfortable and go play ball.
If the Bengals thought they were improving this year's team speed through the NFL draft, well, they hit the nail right on the head. Let's take a look at how the defensive players the Bengals drafted ran at the NFL scouting combine and how they ranked amongst their peer group. Defensive end Shamar Stewart ran a 4.59. That was the 4th fastest time for any edge rusher in Indianapolis. And linebacker Demetrius Knight Jr. ran a 4.58. That tied him for 7th. Now, Barrett Carter, the linebacker from Clemson, chose not to run at the scouting combine, but posted a 4.64 at his pro day, and that would have been good enough to put him in the top 15 at his position. Say what you will about the production part of Shamar Stewart's evaluation. I know I've been ultra critical of this selection, with that being a major piece why. But if the Bengals' goal was to truly add more juice to their pass rush, there may not have been a more appropriate selection. Stewart is an agent of chaos. He may not finish with a flurry, but what he does in between the snap and the end of the play is pure mayhem. Pressure either bursts pipes or makes diamonds. Hopefully for the Bengals, Shamar Stewart's pressure bursts opposing teams' playoff bubbles. And if the early signs coming out of training camp are any indication, the Bengals are looking to deploy Stewart from a variety of locations along that defensive line. In 2024, Sam Hubbard had a career low 6.3 pass rush win rate, according to Pro Football Focus. That's a number the Bengals are banking on besting, with Stewart screaming off the edge. Hopefully his raw athleticism can help make up for some of the time he missed during a 3-day training camp holdout. With the selection of two twitchy and athletic linebackers, the room looks to be in better shape, as Jermaine Pratt at times looked a step slow in 2024 despite his good tackle numbers. DK Jr. is already seeing plenty of work with the first team unit alongside Bengals captain Logan Wilson.
Especially football-wise, asking him plays here and there, sending him plays at night, asking him questions while we're over here, just so we're both not stressed about it. So we go onto the field and we're like, well, we're on the same page, so we're doing something right.
Wilson is coming off a knee injury that cut his season short in December, and Cincinnati is hoping the return of Al Golden, his former linebacker coach, will resurrect his elite pass coverage ability that saw him lead all NFL linebackers in interceptions from 2020 to 2024. Speaking of talented players looking to return from injuries and bolster the pass coverage, cornerbacks Dax Hill, a torn ACL, and DJ Turner, broken clavicle, are back on the field with their sights set on a return to form. Last season, Dax Hill began to unlock his immense potential, making the move from safety to corner. In 5 games, he charted a career-best pass coverage grade according to PFF and had a top 10 pass rush grade among his peers at the position. He offers a few extra tools in the run game and as a blitzer, something they will miss in 2025 without Mike Hilton on the roster. One way to help an ailing secondary looking to bounce back? Get after the quarterback and make his day a living nightmare. For camp holdout Trey Hendrickson, this is what he does best. 17.5 sacks in each of the last 2 years makes him one of the truly elite players, coming off the edge and maybe the most important player for the Bengals on that side of the ball. Zach Taylor and his defensive coaches are hoping this is the year for former first-round pick Myles Murphy to fulfill his vast potential. Blessed with great size at 6'5", 270 pounds, his length and agility make him reminiscent of another former Bengal, Carlos Dunlap. With just 3 sacks in 2 years, Murphy at times seemed like he fell to the wayside in Lou Anarumo's veterans-only club. So under Al Golden, I would assume things are about to change. Al Golden's defense is always going to have these 3 traits. Number 1, they're going to be aggressive. Expect him to bring plenty of pressure as a catalyst for the takeaways and turnovers they're hoping to create. You saw this last year at Notre Dame. Number 2, they are going to be fundamentally sound. Through training camp, through just the first week of training camp, we've seen lots of footage of new tackling drills and the stress that they are putting on repetition to cause turnovers, to force turnovers, and to tackle well. A huge issue the Bengals had in the early part of last season. And the number 3 thing is he will trust his players and he will empower them to trust each other. Think of the Phil Jackson method of letting his players in real time on the floor work themselves in and out of trouble with their communication. With the offense the Bengals already have, the defense does not need to be a top 10 defense for them to get to where they want to go. They just need to be middle of the pack to get to the promised land. If Al Golden in 2025 takes whatever lessons that the team learned last year at the end of the year and then infuses his own fundamentals and aggressive style, he's going to prove to all those internet haters that this 2025 Bengals defense is a lot closer than y'all think.